Now the record button's going. Now you can go.
Welcome to episode 22 of Auto Off Topic. I am one of your hosts, Brad.
And I'm your other host, Andrew. Big thanks to our guest, Vinny McMahon, last week. Or the last episode, I should say, in case you're listening to this years and months and weeks from now. He was on episode 21. If you want to know about a beginner rally, like getting into rally, and then doing your first rally, and then driving all the way from the Boston area to Canada to do your first rally. It's a really cool story, and we had a lot of fun having him on. We'll definitely have him on in the future again.
100%. He was a really good guest, really knowledgeable, and just a genuinely good guy.
Yep. So winter doesn't seem to want to give up here.
No, it's going to snow again this weekend, too.
I thought we were going to turn a corner.
Nope.
But it's March, so in March in New England, you can either just be pretty mild or just terrible.
Except it's March, but today's March 28th, so it's almost April, so it should be gone by now.
Yeah, April can be a mix too. Early April, you get a lot of rain, but hopefully
the snow is gone soon because I'm getting tired of not.
I was really hoping
old cars out.
I'm really hoping they don't put salt down on Friday.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Because it's not supposed to be super cold over the weekend. I just wanted to take my Glan out so bad because we had Southern New Hampshire Cars and Coffee last Sunday.
Yep, the one at Clough Crossing in Salem, New Hampshire.
Yeah, and we drove, I picked you up and we drove in the Montero there because it's all prepared for winter.
And we fully intended on bringing cars. I was going to bring the Colt and you were going to bring the Galant. And then I was sitting at my house working on a
Saturday.
Yeah, so I'm sitting at my house working on a model car Saturday night because that's what I do on my Saturday nights because, wild party animal. Dad life right there, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting at my house on a Saturday night.
Wintertime.
Yeah, working on a model car. And it's about 12:30 at night. I'm thinking about going to bed. And I look up and I see the yellow lights going down the street of the salt truck.
Yeah.
So that screwed up all of our plans for Sunday's Cars.
And they didn't really salt where I live because I'm a little bit farther south.
Yeah.
But I had to drive up to get to you.
And then further north to go to the show. And from my house north was all salted. So it was a lot of salt. It was gross.
Yeah. I was like,
So we Montero'd it. Yep. Some brave souls took their cars out. There were like 150 cars at the Cars and Coffee. I mean, a lot of them are just daily driven, Subarus and Miatas. And
I think that's part of it is people don't have the luxury of having a winter car.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're young, it was a lot of young people this time.
Yep. But there also were some non-winter cars there. There was a guy with a new, C7. C7? That's a new Corvette?
Yeah.
Yeah,
C7, the red one.
The Z06, yep. And there was a Viper, and there was a couple other cars that braved the salt, which I don't recommend, but hey, if you're going to do it, go ahead.
The Viper and the Corvette are fiberglass. Vipers are fiberglass,
still
right?
Steel components and whatnot in them, but yeah.
I almost forgot that Vipers are
that really nice R32 GTR, the orange one was there. That car was stupid clean, and that was out in the salt.
Yeah, it had fresh paint, so...
Yeah, who knows what's hiding, I guess.
And then we posted on the Instagram page the random Galant VR4 that showed up. So I was in the coffee shop. I walked out my coffee, and this guy pulls up in Galant VR4 that we had seen on the local Craigslist.
Yeah, about a year ago or so, I think.
And it has like airbrushed skulls and gears all over it.
Yeah, it's
that
bizarre.
may be like decals, but the hood is airbrushed with a skull and like 2 6 guns.
Yeah, and the vanity plate too, does it not?
Yeah,
isn't it like skull something vanity plate
like that?
Yeah.
But so he rolls up, parks, and then he walks into there's like a haircut place.
Yeah.
And then like a bunch of people walked over to look at the car because why wouldn't you look at that car? Because
it's a VR4 number one, so it's cool and it's covered in ridiculous.
Well, one kid was like, "I'd never seen one in person before." I was like, "What?"
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it?
And then he's like, the guy like walked back out. He's like, "Oh, is there like a car thing going on?" And we're like, "Yeah."
It's just 200 people standing in a parking lot on a Sunday morning.
Like, yeah, it's
cars
like once a month. And he's like, "Oh, all right, neat." And then he like went back in to finish his haircut, and then he left. So
yeah, it's such a weird, strange thing because to own a VR4 like that, you got to be a car guy, I assume.
Yeah,
you have to understand when there's a car show coming up. But I mean, I guess not all car guys have taste. Not to bag on the owner too much, I guess, but it's not our taste.
Maybe he plans on having it repainted.
Maybe he does. Maybe he didn't paint that way himself, but the vanity plate leads me to believe that that's his paint job.
Or he enjoys it.
Or he enjoys it, at least, yeah. Maybe he's like the guy on California with the Fox Body convertible with the giant iguana painted on the side.
No.
Oh, you haven't seen that one?
I've never seen that.
It was the Smoking Tire posted a picture of it. They saw it in lying around somewhere, and then somebody linked the guy that owned the car to the picture that the smoking tire posted, and it was a whole thing back and forth. The guy knows it's ridiculous, but he just loves lizards. He had airbrushed on the entire side of his car.
I like turtles.
Yeah, exactly. I'll have to show you the link later because it's pretty funny. I'm sure a lot of our listeners also listen to that show and have probably seen it, but it's pretty funny.
Weird. So, because we had a guest last week, we kind of skipped our regular stuff, so we're going to catch up with Project Car updates.
Yep.
The day after we recorded episode 20,
20 or 20?
It was
Yeah,
20.
Yeah.
Yep. My truck showed up. My Montero showed up from Arizona on the back of a car carrier.
Oh, yes, it did.
Oh, yeah. So the guy calls me like 15 minutes out. So I leave work, meet him at a parking lot that's near my house because it was big enough for his truck. The battery was dead in it.
Annoyance number one.
Understandably. So he goes up. Now it's at the top of the truck that was in that picture. On the Instagram page, you can see it.
Right. The Montero's on top of the transporter. That's
Yes.
what you mean,
yeah. He climbs up there. He opened the door. So for some reason, but I could have sworn that he opened the driver's door with a key.
Okay.
So maybe he broke the lock or something.
Because it doesn't open anymore?
Yeah, it doesn't work with the key.
Ugh.
It's all right. I'll take it apart and fix
Yeah,
it.
we'll figure it out.
So it has a dead battery. He pops the hood. To jump it, he left the keys in the ignition. And
Okay.
as soon as he jumped it,
Key door's locked.
these generation Monteros, have funky alarms. It immediately locked the doors. So now the truck is on top of the car carrier with locked doors.
Which is always a good place
It's
for it.
funny now, but it was like really, really fucking annoying.
Yeah, you were really angry when you called me.
Yeah.
And you called me like 3 times in a row because I wasn't answering because I was busy doing something else. And I was like, oh, Andrew really needs to get a hold of me.
Yes. So luckily you were able to come down and help me out.
Yeah, because you had to go back to work.
Because I had to go back to work.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he got it unlocked. He finally got it unlocked.
He borrowed a...
Did he borrow the Slim Jim again?
Jim from the guys over at Fast Track.
At Fast Track,
PVD,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
It was in front of the parking lot in front of their shop.
Yes. And I went over the next day and I gave them some... there's a local coffee place called Dunkin' Donuts, and you get these little donut holes.
Local coffee place.
Yeah, they're called Munchkins, and
Yeah.
and you can get like a box of Joe, which is a box of
Listen,
coffee.
it's not a local coffee place. America runs on Dunkin', okay?
That's true.
America.
Well, if you don't know what it is, whatever.
I think that there's one in like every state now. It's just not as prevalent as it is here.
I was
Here
being,
it's on every street corner. I
I was,
don't know
be-
about out.
I was being
that
nice,
way.
trying to pay them back, so I gave them something a little to make their Friday morning a little better.
Yeah, exactly. Just for helping us out.
So yeah, it was a huge fucking pain in the ass to get it off.
It was, and the guy wasn't even nice about it either. Like he was totally making it 100% like it was our fault that he lost the keys in the car.
Yeah, he's like, "Do you have extra keys?" I'm like, "No, I just
Oh,
bought this
how
car."
do I came from Arizona. Where did I get the keys from?
Yeah. So but I did try to go to the dealership and have them cut a key because they know me there,
Yep.
and they cut a key, but it still didn't work.
Didn't work in the lock.
No, I don't know if the kid cut the wrong blank or whatever.
Regardless.
It doesn't matter, right?
So regardless, I was there for another probably 45 minutes to an hour trying to get the stupid thing started.
The good news is it had plenty of cool in it because we realized that once it got on the truck and left Arizona, that
It was coming from Arizona, and it might not have coolant in it.
it might just have water because
Yep.
they just did a head job, and they were trying to get it running right. So maybe they just put water in it because that's
Yeah,
a thing you do in the desert.
Yeah, well, even here in the summertime, working in a car, if you try to fix something and then eventually change it back
So
over,
luckily it had plenty of coolant in it. Didn't freeze.
which is a bonus.
Got it running. It runs. It drives.
Well, there's a little more to the story getting it running first.
What?
Because the guy wouldn't roll it off the truck without it running.
Oh, really?
He was afraid to roll it down the truck. I was like, just roll it backwards, and the brakes work.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Yeah, I'm positive the brakes are going to work. Like, just hold the brake and release it slowly. Don't just, like, come 100% off the brake and come down at 400 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Just release the brake a little bit at a time and come down nice and slow.
Brakes work in a car with no power assist.
Yeah, they don't work wonderfully, but they work.
No.
So eventually I finally, because he was trying to have me park my truck next to his truck and like daisy chain a bunch of jumper cables together. And I was like, I really don't want to like daisy chain, like have these metal things hanging down next to your metal trailer hooked up to my truck and Andrew's truck and have the thing short out and either the guy in the thing gets electrocuted or blows all the fuses in my truck. And now we have 2 broken trucks down here in downtown BBD. Like, I'm not daisy chaining this crap together. Like, it's not long enough because the truck's on the top. If you can make it fit, we'll do it with 1. I'm not hooking 2 together.
All right, so before we go further into the Montero, there is a moral to the story here. There is a reason why you should pay someone like Brad the extra money
That's me.
to have for Vine Vintage Inputs in New England to have enclosed transport.
Obviously, it costs more because I'm going 2 ways to pick up your car.
Yes,
But I will be
the
very careful
care
with it.
and
Yes.
consideration is much
It
nicer.
is, yes. Because I'm doing it for the love of the car, and not
Yes.
for the love of an extra buck. So
But that is something you should get a new booster pack to keep with you when you.
I will buy a new booster pack. I had a booster pack,
Yeah.
and I ran it over.
Ah.
That's what happened to my booster pack. Otherwise, I wouldn't have my booster pack with me. So I do need to buy a new booster pack.
Because as one has so many broken cars, you do keep a booster pack around.
I do. Well,
They're not broken, but they sit.
A lot of
sometimes.
batteries, yeah. And I use the booster pack when camping.
Yeah.
Because it's for charging cell phones and stuff because it's got USB ports on it.
Yeah.
But I used it to jumpstart a car, and I put it down in front of the car. I don't know why. I put it in front of the car, and then I finally got the car running, and I jumped in it, put it in gear, and what really pissed me off is not only did I ruin my booster pack, like here we are saying that I give the extra nice care to everything, and here I am talking about how I screwed up and ran over a booster pack. All right, never mind. Moving on. Is there a problem with the mixing board there, Andrew,
No.
or are you just looking? All right.
I don't know why it
So
doesn't,
finally, he got it down off the truck, and it was just sitting there. I couldn't get it running. It was parked in a no parking tow zone spot. So I
No, it's still
hopefully
working.
hopefully got it there, and hopefully got back in time before they towed it and got it out of there, which we did.
No, the recorder is definitely working. Sorry, because we're hearing the audio output from the recorder, so it's getting something. And
Okay.
it's recording.
That's fine. It
The
wasn't just
timer's running.
it wasn't indicating it on the screen.
Yeah, I didn't have the little LED things on the
I
mixing
gotcha,
board weren't working, but they are now. So anyway, the Montero showed up.
Montero showed up. Battery was dead.
Yep.
It was a pain in the butt. We got it off the truck. Now that's where we're at.
It was at my house safely. So then we jumped it. I jumped it again later that night. I drove it to.
We had to put a new battery in it eventually to get started. The battery was just stone dead.
Yeah, I put the battery, the old battery I kept from my first gen,
Right.
because it was still pretty good. I drove it over to my dad's house, my parents' house. We could put it on the lift and look at it.
Mm-hmm.
It's super clean, dry climate.
Yep. No rust anywhere. Yep.
No rust, no rot.
Baked off paint. That's all.
Yeah, the paint's baked off, whatever. The seller did disclose to me, Josh from Adventure Driven Design, that it had a bottom end noise. So
That's why I got such a good deal on it.
Yep.
You knew it needed work.
exactly. So because I guess what happened is the truck had overheated. They did a bunch of top end work. Went to run the truck again, and then it started making a bottom end noise. So it
Sounds like a familiar story with Monteros.
it could be.
Might do the same thing.
A lot of people forget that oil does cool your engine.
Mm-hmm.
So if you overheated it, you can ruin the oil, and it could have
Spun a bearing.
spun a bearing.
Yep.
Or the pistons are aluminum in a steel block, so a piston could be warped. Because it does sound reminiscent of Subaru piston slap in an old Subaru. But eventually, like in Stephanie's Subaru, once it warms up, the piston slap goes away.
Yeah.
This doesn't seem to go away. It just stays pretty constant.
Pretty constant the whole time. It runs good, though. I mean, the car runs and drives fine. I drove it back to your house.
Yeah, you could probably drive it around for a little while, but who knows? You might make stuff worse.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's no
do it
reason
right,
to
don't worry about it.
drive it out into the wilderness the way it is.
Not knowing what's going on with it.
Exactly. So the plan now is in the next 2 weeks or so.
To LS swap it.
Yeah, let's swap it. No, because I'm doing some house mods at the moment. I'm putting bamboo floors in my living room. So once that's done, we will pull the engine from the Montero and just fix the bottom end, and it'll just all go back stock as it was.
Which just means we have to put the Galat motor together quick because I stole your engine stand.
I have a second engine stand.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say I have one too.
That was the second engine, the engine stand we used for the Galant engine, your Galant engine.
Yep.
That I got for free from my old job.
Free 99, the best price.
Yep. So
Mine was also free 99,
Yep.
so it's awesome.
the other thing I'm going to do is one of our listeners, Tim Reed, pointed me in the direction of the Expedition Portal thread to remove the alarm from the second gen Monteros.
Oh, there's a way to remove it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wire around it. Yep.
So is it a factory installed or is it like a port installed?
Factory installed or port installed or something. I kind of remember looking up the remotes for these.
Mm-hmm.
You had to look them up in the accessory catalog. It was a weird way to do
So
it.
they use a port installed part. That's what you use the
Yeah.
port installed parts. You had to look up.
Yeah,
the
so
accessory
you
catalog.
won't.
So it's not like a Talon or a Staring.
No,
that has
I
all
won't.
integrated
No, I
stupidness
won't.
to it.
Won't have keyless entry anymore.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But it messes with things. It makes it funky to start the car. somebody had already removed the horns because clearly it's been going
Alarm's
off,
been going off, yeah.
and it flashes the lights, and so just going to take it out. So that's where we are with that. Going to get to that truck soon, and ideally it's only down for like a month or two.
Yeah, well, plus you still have the other truck at the moment. That
Exactly.
we're trying to sell
Yeah,
anyway, so
we're quietly trying to sell it, just
Yeah.
kind of holding on to it at the moment because I'm using it to go back and forth to work, and
Yep.
if we want
And
to,
we've gotten offers for it that we might take in the future, but
yeah, yeah,
not right now because, like, we don't really need to sell it for that low of a price at the moment.
yeah. No, I think I can get what I want for it,
Yeah, I'm sure somebody will buy it.
and if I want to go off road or something where I can still use it. So
Right, because we can't use mine, that's for sure.
no, but what else did we do? We actually made some progress on your Galant.
We touched
sort
on
of.
the Galant right
Yeah.
there. We actually took the motor out of its winter hiding spot, the bottom end, the short block that we were trying to re-put together to put the car back
nice
together.
6 bolts.
Yep, it was in a little hiding spot in my father's garage.
Yeah.
Behind all the car store for the winter.
So it's on the stand.
We dragged that out today. We got it on the stand, and that's also at Andrew's father's house.
Yep, we're going to inspect it, plastic gauge the bearings,
All right, so we don't have another spun bearing issue.
make sure that they meet factory specs.
Yep.
Just go through it, make sure it's all
We're
set.
basically going to disassemble it, send the block out, have it cleaned.
Yep.
If it has to be bored out, see what, how much oversized we have to go in the pistons. Hopefully not very much, because they're doing basically a
stock rebuild.
Stock rebuild.
Just what I did the Galant.
Yep, just like his Galant. So
It'll go back
I'm
together.
excited because I have pretty much everything to put it back together. I had a lot of a wish list of stuff I wanted to do while I was apart, but I think just financially it's not the right time to do it. And I have the car. I'd rather have it run and drive, without a new air
Well, the only
conditioning
thing
system.
was, like, the exhaust is kind of big. We can figure out the exhaust.
Well, I have, thanks to our friend, I have a downpipe I can use from a 2G, which is the same.
That
Yeah.
should work.
Yep.
And then we can play with welding an exhaust.
Yeah, not a problem at all.
All right, that's cool.
So the only thing I really wanted to do while it was apart was I wanted to put in all the factory AC components.
You can put that stuff in afterwards if
I know.
you really wanted to.
I was hoping to do it all at once, but I don't have the money.
I did it after my engine was in. I found all the parts.
No, did you?
Yeah.
All right.
No,
I just figured it'd be easier while it was apart, and
it would be, but it's not that bad. I think we wanted to add the power steering back in. That's definitely something you should try to do. Power steering is not working, right?
100% power steering in the car. It's got a bad rack in the front of it. That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh, the rack is then very easy to do with the engine out.
Right. That's what we wanted to do as a rack.
Yes.
So maybe I can get one rebuilt for fairly inexpensive.
My eBay one, a Talon rack, which is what you want because the
Right.
4-wheel steering doesn't work in your car either.
Ideally, I wanted to put that all back together too. It's all still there, but
Those lines don't exist anymore. That's the problem.
they're all still there though.
If they are still there, yeah, but if they're rotted, it's a huge pain.
Yeah, I think it's not going to happen for now. So.
It's easier just to put it, unfortunately, because of the complications of the system, or how complicated it is, rather.
Yeah.
It's easier just to put a Talon rack into it,
Well,
or a DSM rack. That's fine.
my dream was to make the car perfect and brand new again.
I
And
know.
maybe if I wind up keeping the car, maybe I'll do it in the future.
I had that dream too, and then I was like, you know what? I've got a 4-bolt in the back,
Yep.
which you can't keep with 4-wheel steering.
Okay.
You have to put this,
That's still 3-volt style.
and it's not an LSD. It's a 3-bolt with a pump on the back. That's how it pressurizes
really?
the rear rack.
So it's not a.
It's not an
Okay.
LSD.
So you're better off with the LSD rear end then.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll keep it that way then.
Yeah. And I think the steering rack I got on eBay. I bought a lot of parts on eBay. It was like $100 for
No, totally
a
fine
reman one.
for buying reman parts on eBay. It's
I do it
totally
all the
cool.
time.
Yeah, you're not buying like knockoff parts on
You know
stick on hood
what I
scoops,
like about
Sierra,
it is
right?
that the sellers basically have to have the stuff.
Yeah,
You're never sure with Amazon if the seller actually has the stuff.
or what warehouse it's coming out of if
yeah.
you get from Rock Auto.
Yeah, so
No, I have no problem buying parts through eBay.
no, I do it all the
So
time.
I guess the car will probably handle just fine. Put together the stock way, and I'll use the same caster bushings that you used in yours.
Oh yeah, the white line ones.
Yeah.
They're cheap, like $35.
Just to help the on-center steering feel a little bit and make it more driver friendly. So I'll probably do that
And then speaking of those cars, my Koyo Rad
for the Talon.
showed up for the Talon.
Yep.
So that adds to the pile of parts.
Because you have an OEM still from 1990 probably in the Talon,
Yes.
right? Yeah, starting to seep around the edges and whatnot.
Yep. So that'll be done soon. As soon as it warms up a little bit more.
Someday, maybe August.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll bring that car over, swap that out.
Love to get the Galant and the Montero out of your father's garage first.
Yeah. I mean, the other stuff, like the Talon stuff's kind of quick. And I can almost do it. A lot of it I could do at my house here.
The radiator especially, that's easy enough.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. sometimes it's just easier just to go over there because all the tools.
All
are
the
there
tools
already.
are there, and the
I have
lift's there,
tools
and
here,
everything's
but
there, yep.
yeah. But anyway,
Well, it's like I did a radiator in the 78 Colt, and it became an all-day process just because I was doing it in my driveway.
yeah.
It's just a pain in the butt.
Okay, and then so let's get to scale project cars.
Yes.
And we went to the RTS Expo. It was like
which
2
is
weeks now, right?
Yeah, it was not last weekend, the weekend before,
Yeah.
which is a model car show.
What does RTS stand for?
I have no idea. I think it's the 3 guys involved.
Oh, okay.
Because one of them Stu, and I think he's the S. But I don't know. It's like Robert Tom Stu or something like that. I have no idea.
Oh, whatever. It was cool.
It was cool. It was smaller this year. They gave us a little small of a room, unfortunately. So there's still a lot of models on the table, but it was in one small.
Yeah, we're kind of shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, it was really tough to look at them because there were too many people, not enough space. But the main reason we go to that anyway is for the flea market.
Yeah.
Because it's really cool to see all the kits you haven't been able to get for years. And instead of like looking at them on eBay and you think about it, you see it right in front of you and you're like, I'm going to buy that now.
Some people had really good prices. Others had like retail, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy a thing at the show retail.
No, I don't want to pay retail. That's why I went to the show. That's the point.
It's a flea market. Everything should be cheap. But some stuff is cheap. And I actually did not buy anything this year.
I know, I was surprised.
Which is funny because I specifically had saved money aside from my, broke-ass normal self to buy something there, and I didn't buy anything. Nothing really.
There hasn't been anything really, really good in the last couple of years.
It was one kit I was like,
super unique,
maybe, and then I just didn't do it.
So I bought a Matchbox 1/32 scale Porsche 935,
which I think is it a Fujimi kit or who made the actual kit?
I don't know who makes it.
Because Matchbox didn't make the kit. It
It's
was
a
repop of somebody else.
3-piece body.
Yeah, which is bizarre. But the way it goes together, it looks okay, though.
So if somebody else makes it, maybe I'll just try to find another version of it.
I have no idea.
Now I'll look into it more because I only paid like $15 for it.
Yeah, it was a good deal.
So I thought it was a good deal anyways. But I opened it up and maybe the nose of it got stuck in the mold or something. And
It's got a weird melt spot on it, unfortunately.
Which could probably be fixed, worst case.
If you can't buy one for like $1 on eBay.
Exactly. I'll try to find one that's for parts or something.
Yep.
So
that's a cool little kit. The Martini cool. livery and Martini livery. It's a 935 with a long tail on it, and it's a cool looking car.
I've never seen it. I'm getting. I like these alternative scale.
Yeah, they're just different to build. Smaller scale, large scale.
Because what scale was that Galant you did?
Same scale, 1/32. Very small scale. Which I should probably put some pictures up on the Auto Off Topic page.
Yep.
I have them on my personal page, but that was a fun little kit. And actually, I just started working on another 1/32 scale kit as well.
Yeah.
So my scale project updates are since last week actually started and finished a whole kit.
Nice.
Because it's 1/32 scale, it's less detail. It's a lot easier to put together. But I did a 1970 Mitsubishi Galant GTO.
How surprising.
Yes, a Mitsubishi. I know, right? The one I'm working on now is a Mazda, though. So hey.
Yeah.
But I'll put some pictures up of that kit. It came out, half decent for a quick little project. It's nothing that's going to be, fancy enough to win any model car show awards or anything. But it looks good on my shelf in the living room, so I'm happy with it.
Anything else?
As far as scale project cars go, I don't think so. Project cars, we just had the Galant we talked about real quick. I haven't really touched anything else because it's, other than putting wipers on my truck, it's hardly an update.
As soon as as soon as the weather breaks,
there'll be nothing but updates.
I know. I'm just gonna
be working.
I've got oil and a filter ready to go on the Galant to do my yearly oil change.
Yep. I have to do some stuff to Deb's car, and I have to do stuff to my cars. And actually, I was talking to Deb the other day, and we're going to try to do, maybe I'll talk to you about this off air later, but one night a week we can just work on cars every week.
Okay.
So just kind of get more time to do that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That way we can finish our projects like the Starion and your Montero and my Galant and everything. So lots of stuff upcoming. We just need winter to break.
Yeah.
This is awful. I'm getting depressed. I can't even talk about cars anymore.
Well, at least the days are, the daylight is longer.
Yeah, well, it's the clocks change, but doesn't help when it's salt on the roads. I can't do anything anyway.
No, but it's nicer that it's not dark at 4 o'clock.
It's very true. But even my daily driver truck is like dirty. I haven't washed it in 2 weeks because it's been raining and snowing and then raining and snowing. Yeah. And it's annoying. It's just. I want to clean a car. I want to do something just to kind of make
everybody's like,
not go crazy.
Why don't you guys just move?
Yeah, well,
this is true.
Maybe we should just do it.
We'll see. So, this week is listener question week.
It is, and we have quite a few actually. So
All right. So
do you
let's
want to start with Instagram questions?
Yeah, let's
You
do the
have it
Instagram
loaded up?
questions so I got them loaded up. Okay. So the first one is from Rally Sideways. And
That's Ryan, correct? Vinny's co-driver.
yes.
So big shout out to him for becoming a listener after hearing Vinny's
Yes.
Vinny's little thing.
Yes.
It'd be funny if he says shout out, but I see it, your face, you're gonna do that. But thank you, Ryan, for sharing the podcast on your page and becoming a listener after last week.
Yes, we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's awesome. And so Rally Sideways asks, and this is on Instagram, you should follow him because he does some cool shit. So
He does. He's a rally co-driver.
Yep. What's one car you wish you never sold? We've kind of covered this, but since we've got some new listeners,
He is a new listener. He hasn't heard it, so
we'll talk about it again. So why don't you go, Brad?
well, I mean that's obvious. It's 100% my Talon.
Okay.
I mean, even though I hated the car and I love the car and I hated the car and I love the car, it's the only car that I'm like, I need to buy another one. I need to buy that car again. I missed that car. I still have my wheels. I still have all.
Did you see that 30,000 mile one that
I did
popped?
see that one. It's like $14,000.
It's the same color as mine?
That's the kind of the gold beige color. I do really want another one.
Yeah.
I really wish I never sold it.
You want like a 100,000 mile one, not a...
Yeah, I don't want a perfect one. I want a nice one. I mean, I would take a 20,000 mile one if it wasn't $14,000.
Hey.
And I'm not disputing the fact that the car's worth $14,000.
It's definitely worth it.
I think it is.
To the right person, absolutely.
It's just, unfortunately, I'm not in that time of my life where I could spend $14,000 on one right
the
now.
problem is I would buy that car. You couldn't modify it. Couldn't do anything to it.
No, you just keep it in the garage. Like my father does his with 20,000 mile, FBRX7. Just drives it 15, 20 miles a year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a like a museum piece.
It is, and I'd love to own it at a different time in my life.
Yes.
But right now is not that time. Yep. So I would like another one. And I think part of the reason that I'm so upset about it is when the motor let go the last time, I was just so tired of it. I didn't even investigate anything and I just kind of parked it and sold it to you for parts.
Yeah.
And then you pulled the motor apart and we could have just put a tie-in belt on it and driven it away. Pretty much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It didn't do a lot of damage like it did all the other times. But I don't know. I have so many memories in the car, and that's the car that turned me into the enthusiast. Like, I was always a car enthusiast, but that's the car that turned me from just the domestic, Camaro Mustang Firebird to the more all-around car guy, because I kind of learned more about other countries' cars and had more fun driving that car than anything else. And that was the car that turned me into the car guy that I am today. So that's the one that I regret the most.
Now, it's kind of a toss-up between my 2000 Civic Si or my 2005 STI. Because I really like the STI, but then our friend Jordan, I get to drive his car, so it kind of makes up for that.
Itch.
Yeah. And that brings back a ton of memories when I was driving that the other day, or a couple weeks ago, rather. But the Civic Si, I guess, because they're so hard to find now.
If I had to say of the cars that you've owned, I miss your Si the most.
Yeah,
because that was a fun little car.
That was a really fun. That was slow car fast.
Yep, and I think that car
actually it wasn't even that slow.
No, it wasn't slow. It was a momentum car anyway. It didn't have a lot of torque, and it wasn't a drag racing car by any means.
No,
it was a stock engine with like an intake.
I know, but I had the Jay's Racing. Oh, I had the Jay's Racing knockoff. The whale penis intake.
Yeah, the carbon fiber whale penis.
Yeah.
But when you had the suspension in that car was dialed. So it was like a bone stock driveline with really nice suspension.
Coilers, like the cheapest coilers.
Whatever. It was dialed up nice. You had corner balance and everything, did you not?
Not on that one. No.
No, just in the STI?
No, I did the STI.
Well, we were young and dumb, and it felt really
it was
good.
Pretty good. I had it lined up well, and I had Falcon, the original Falcon Azenuses on it.
The asymmetric
so
pattern.
real sticky. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun car, and you could say the same thing about that car. That car really kind of like you had Talon already, so you were kind of already into the imported car kind of thing. But that car is the one that got you into autocross, and it got you into the SCCA, and eventually into rallycross, and
if I
to what
kept
you are
it,
now.
it probably would have turned into a track rat car. Just
possibly
the half cage or full cage.
Or still be just a autocross car. Who knows? But I definitely regret you getting rid of that car, because I also regret not buying that car when I had the opportunity. Yeah. So, but hey, we've discussed that before too. But.
All right, so that answers that question. Okay, next question is from SXM Rob, and he just asked kind of who needs to get slapped for that ruining that Galant, which is on our Instagram page. You can see it. That's the one with the skulls.
We're not sure.
I'm not sure.
Might be the guy at Supercuts, or it might be the guy before him.
Yeah. hopefully somebody decides to repaint it just white.
Well, my hope for that car is that eventually when it does come for sale again, it's just so cheap because nobody wants it.
Yeah.
And I or you or somebody we're friends with can buy it, and we can just spend a day with some acetone and a rag and clean it all off.
It's just single stage white. Like it'll come right back, right?
Yeah, should just come right back. Either the wet sand or just some acetone on top of because as long as that stuff's not clear coated over, which didn't look like it was, we could just use acetone and a rag and take it down back to the white again. So hopefully, we'll see.
All right, and another question, the last question on Instagram, another great username is Throttle by Cable.
Jared.
Yes. He says, I follow at Classic Rally. If you could recommission one classic rally car and campaign it, which would it be? And he doesn't want us to go Group B because that's too easy, which I think it is too.
It is very easy.
It's the go-to answer for rally.
I want to put a second caveat on his question.
What's that?
No Mitsubishis.
I was thinking that too. I don't want to go the easy route.
Right.
Because everybody thinks I'm going to say Galant VR4 Group A car.
Right, and I would go, 1976 South Africa Safari Rally Lancer.
To go really...
So that's my real answer, but we're going to keep Mitsubishi out of it.
Yeah. I'm going to go really take a left turn. I'm going to go the Alpine A110.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
That's definitely a car that I would use in historic rally.
I want to take it back a little bit further than that and go back to when rally was more high-speed TSDs.
Okay.
And go back to like a Monte Carlo running Austin Healey.
Okay.
Something like that to me would be an ideal toy. They're worth so much money now, you wouldn't want to do it with one that's a new one. Build one from a nice car.
Like a Healey 3000?
Healey 3, Mark II or Mark 1, whatever.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Because they used to run the crap out of those. Hard top on it, no bumpers, and some big, Lucas spotlights in the front of them.
All right.
That would be my go-to because I love those cars, and I love the actual racing history they used to have before they became worth so much money that now they're all car show queens.
Yeah.
So I'd love to find a ratty one of those and build something in it and just enjoy the car. It doesn't have to be a numbers matching anything. It can be any straight six motor in the car if it doesn't have the right one. It can be a Datsun, a Mercedes motor, whatever in the car, just to have it to enjoy it and drive the car.
Well, I love the color blue. That's why I like the Alpines.
Yep.
And just the styling of that car is so crazy looking.
It is very crazy.
And it's like rear engined.
And those have come up so much in price in the past year and a half. I would say that they've more than doubled. And even the Willys branded ones, the Dinalpines, which they sold down in South America, which used to be worth nothing, have now carried up in value as well, and those are 30, 40 grand now. So
I think they're just really cool cars. And I have this weird obsession. At some point, I want to own a French car. I don't know why. I just think
you're a masochist.
Yeah, I just think it'd be interesting to own a French car for a little bit. They have such a unique design, like aesthetic to them. They just.
What were you with me when we saw one just driving down the road recently? Or was that with Al?
Must have been with Al.
Coming back from Pennsylvania, then we're just driving down the road, and there was like a DS19 going the other way in traffic. We're like, "What the hell? What's that? So random."
Just the single spoke steering wheels and some of that. It's just,
the DS has that for sure.
Just weird.
I was behind right before winter hit this year. I was driving through Georgetown, my hometown, and I was driving down the road, and I was behind a 2CV. I was just like, that just made me happy, to be behind a 2CV. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
I just wanted to follow him forever. So yeah, I would something from that era of Austin Healey 3000. I think I would really like.
All right,
to recommission and maybe do like a historic, TSD with, or maybe Monte Carlo style rally with it.
Yep.
The only other thing I can say is one of my car guy bucket list items is to 4-season daily, so also through winter, an MGB GT Coupe. And those were cool rally cars back in the day, too. And I would like, maybe not make a rally car out of it, but just kind of a rally car looking one.
As soon as the salt hits it, it will just dissolve around you?
Well, buy one that's not nice and just weld in, flat pan floors and nothing fancy. Just have the basic bones of the car there, basic structure of the car there, and just run it bumperless, painted wires, big fog lights, and that's it. That's how I want to just daily drive one all the time.
All right, that's a cool car.
It's a very cool car. Mm-hmm. One of my all-time favorites.
All right. So where are our next questions?
Next questions come from Facebook.
All right.
We're going to go to the Facebook Auto Off Topic page.
All right.
Which is Auto Off Topic Podcast on Facebook if you want to follow. Steve Boutin, who is actually our coloring contest winner, who I have not forgotten about. I haven't shipped anything out to because life has been in the way, and I apologize, Steve. But I have not forgotten about you. He has a couple questions to ask.
Okay.
Number one, this is probably a better question for you with your history in the book world. Automotive books, are there any that you would recommend? Biography? Technical manuals? Coffee table books?
I like one of my favorite biographies is The Unfair Advantage. It's about Mark Donohue.
Yep.
That's a really great book. If you want to get if you're really into Porsches, Genesis of Genius, Carl Ludwigson is really good.
Yeah, Carl Ludwigson. Yeah, it's
Yep.
a last name to be a Porsche rider. What's the technical manual that we both have a copy of that we've been reading off and on with the engine building one? That's a great one.
That's scientific design of competition engines.
Yeah, Scientific Design and Competition Engines, I think
Yep.
is the name of that book. That's a really good, it's a really in-depth book that dates
Yeah.
back to the 50s, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that's a really cool book.
Yeah, it's real dry though.
It's very dry.
Yeah.
But it's very, at the same time, if you're into that technical of something, it's a very well-written book.
The Donahue one is really interesting because it covers a lot of racing in its golden era.
Yep.
Especially when drivers were multi-disciplined.
Yeah, and also during it was a very experimental era in racing where you could get away with a lot more than you can now.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of the cool parts of that story where he talks about different ways the different teams cheated and got caught cheating and didn't get caught cheating and what they did to get away with it.
Yeah.
And
Especially in the Trans Am
how
series.
brazen they were in some of them. They'd take a completely different car and they would race.
Yeah.
And they'd even make it obvious by putting different numbers on it and then just get away with it.
Yeah. Acid dip cars and,
Yep.
the adjust the height of fuel towers so that the fuel would pour out faster as they're pitting, stuff like that. Let's see. I do like actually Alex Roy's book, Driver.
I still haven't read that one yet.
That's interesting. Brock Yates' Cannonball. That book is sort of a compilation of
Yeah, it's a really good one too, though.
stories from different people who have run the
That's a
Cannonball.
very entertaining one, though.
That is very entertaining.
And I think if you want to, another book that I could recommend is not directly a car book, but something you could share with, wives, girlfriends, mothers, whoever. The one that your dog is named after.
Oh, The Art of Racing in the Rain.
Art of Racing in the Rain is a great all-around book for everybody. Even people like my wife and my sister who aren't car people love that book.
Yep.
So that's a good one.
And I'm blanking on the author's name for that book.
Yeah, I don't remember either, and I apologize to the author.
Darn it.
But The Art of Racing in the Rain is the name of the book, and look it up that way. You'll find it. It's a really good read, and it's good for people who are not into cars.
Yeah, it's fictional. Totally fictional.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's told from the perspective of a dog, so of course it's fictional.
But I mean, the car stuff in it is legit.
It is. It's as a car person, it reads well, and you're not like, oh, that's not true.
Yeah.
The research was done right. It's a good book to read.
The what else? Oh, I like also Brock Yates' his Sunday Driver book, which is about him trying to make it in the Trans Am series. That's a really good book as a driver.
A good companion to the Mark Donohue book too.
Mm-hmm.
Same era of Trans
Yeah,
Am.
it is because in Sunday Driver he does talk about meeting with Mark Donohue and stuff in his trailer, and Roger Penske and all the greats of that era. I mean, there's so many books.
Yeah, there's tons, and it all depends on whatever discipline of car that you're, more into than the next. And coffee table books, I can't recommend a coffee table book because it's very whatever you're into, because it's basically a more visual thing. So,
I mean, I can certainly tell you probably the most written about brand ever is Porsche.
Yeah, Porsche. Excuse me. Oof,
Porsche.
I'm getting beat. Porsche.
Porsche.
There's a lot of coffee table books about Porsches.
Yes.
But I mean, and I've had many coffee table books that aren't even specifically about one brand or another, just about eras in cars or the muscle car books. Or there's so many books out there of coffee table style books.
I have a really good one upstairs about rally, and I cannot remember the name of it.
Yep, because we didn't prepare for this question.
Yeah,
Although we've given plenty of book answers, so I don't feel bad.
No, I did want to prepare for it, and then we kind of got off track this afternoon.
Working on the Gallant.
Yeah, we moved that engine, but I wanted to. I can post some links later, so we'll do that.
Steve's second question. Should I go with dual Weber side drafts for my Corolla or stick with the downdraft type?
That's you, Carb Man.
I am Carb Man.
Not just because
Reliability.
you like French fries.
Yeah, I do love French fries. I do love carbs. Reliability-wise, the downdrafts are easier to deal with, and they usually have electronic chokes, or at least even a manual choke.
Wait, who makes the downdrafts?
Weber makes the downdrafts.
Okay.
I mean, I'm assuming he has Weber downdrafts because most people do. It's like what's on the Raider is a Weber style downdraft.
Okay, yeah. Right. I understand.
Yep. And whereas the side drafts are usually less, they're more tunable as far as jetting and whatnot, but they're less user friendly as far as having a choke.
So
So it depends on what he wants to do with the car.
Yeah, what we're talking about with carbs, a downdraft would be one that the air intake is on the top
and comes from the top into the bottom, and
Yep.
the side draft it comes into the side of the engine.
And the reason why those are used more for performance because it's like a direct shot into the intake. The intake is much straighter because it's side draft. And you're shooting it.
I'm not sure what the other advantages are, other than they sound amazing. Nothing sounds like a side
when
draft carbs on a car.
When you're running dual, you've now split. You've got 2 carbs for 4 cylinders.
Right, so each car is feeding 2 cylinders.
Yes. So it's.
But he's running dual downdrafts. It sounds like right now.
Okay.
If you drive the car a lot, I would just stick with the downdrafts. If you have to get in the car and drive it to work and not worry about it, downdrafts are going to work longer without maintenance. Side drafts are going to come out of sync more often, and they're going to be a lot harder to tune to your specific car. And if you're not willing to deal with it, then I would stick with the downdrafts.
Okay.
Ideally, I would tell you to throw them all in the trash, or not throw them in the trash, sell them to somebody else who wants to use them if you want to use the car all the time, and switch to a individual throttle body setup. That would be the ideal way to go.
Yeah,
not spending $1,000.
then that requires management.
It does, but
software
when you talk about
ECU.
spending the money on that versus spending the money for a nice set of Weber side drafts, it's not much difference in price overall. On the
Okay.
end.
All
It
right.
uses the same manifold too. So
All right.
anyway, that's just a thought. But yeah, I would stick with the downdrafts for a driven car.
Don't they have ones now that are hidden? Don't they make Weber covers for these to like disguise them in older cars?
I think
that a thing?
the Gen V ones
Yeah.
that look like Webers. They look different enough to not have any kind of copyright infringements.
But an injector
look-
sits inside.
Right, they look like carbs that have injectors in them.
Cool.
His third question, which is your limit of questions, people. I'm kidding.
No,
obviously.
whatever.
I'm
You can
kidding.
ask as many questions as you want.
As many as you want. Steve's third question is: I recently bought the GMC variant of the same truck as Brad. That's me. For everything duties.
And you were telling me about this the other
Is
day.
it foolish to buy a plug-in tuner to increase the power/fuel economy? It is not foolish. I've been doing my research on this, and the Banks 6-gun tuner seems to be the way to go. It has a stupid name, I think.
It's a very truck bro name.
Very, very truck bro name, yeah. But it has 6 levels of between economy and power. So you can just leave it on economy if you're driving the car around and turn up the power if you need it for whatever.
Roll some sweet coal.
Right. It
Actually, probably with the Banks,
It
you
will not
probably
roll
can't.
coal with the Banks because
Yeah.
he is anti-rolling coal.
Yes.
I would personally, if I have it, it's just got to be basically for fuel economy. 'cause
Isn't it
I
like
drive
double
the thing.
fuel economy you're telling me?
It's not quite double fuel economy, but it gets significant increase in fuel economy. So it does really well. That's the one that I would go with. It's about $600, I think. It has the best reviews and the best longevity, and doesn't affect anything else in the truck. I will eventually be going with it because I drive the truck all over the place, and on long highway runs, it'll help a lot.
Yeah.
So
Long
I would,
flat highway, yeah.
yeah, I would definitely recommend going something like that. Not so much to increase power, because if you're using a truck as a daily driving truck, I wouldn't want to beat up the rest of the truck by putting more power through it. Plus, the more power you put, the more boost it makes, the more turbos wear out. Everything wears out. I want to do it myself for fuel economy. Maybe it's boring, but I didn't buy the truck
It
to
has
go fast.
plenty of power
Yeah.
and torque.
I didn't buy the truck to go fast.
Yeah.
So, and then he says, as always, thanks for posting an awesome podcast week to week. Well, thanks, Steve, for listening week to week.
Appreciate it.
So, next question is from D. Gone, who is the model builder extraordinaire that we spoke about last week and gave you his Instagram to follow.
And we got to see his model kits in person,
We did.
his
Yeah,
recent
he brought
builds at the
5 of his
RTS.
recent builds
Yep.
at the RTS Expo, and they were all amazing as
I
always.
posted some of those on the Instagram page.
He says, or for his first time question of
Yeah.
our show, a joke question.
Yeah.
What makes an ocean wave wave?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Is it a dad joke?
I have no idea. Is there a dad joke punchline to that? I've never heard that one.
maybe.
If there is, I should because I'm a dad. So is he. But I don't know that one. All right. Noah Zimmerman asks, what do you make of autonomous vehicles plowing into people and objects?
Why? Where does that happen?
Well, it's been happening everywhere. Not everywhere, but it's happened a few times. Have you seen the video of like the Tesla crashing on the highway last week? It went into the Jersey barrier. This guy was on autopilot.
Okay. So these cars now are basically beta testing.
But they're beta testing if you buy it. Like, you're beta testing the car.
Yeah.
So it's kind of...
they're not marketed as full autonomy, and they shouldn't be.
They're not, but where does the liability lie in this case?
I don't know.
That's the $24 million question here. Yeah. Like, where does the liability lie when your autonomous car crashes on the highway?
We're probably, within the next 10 years, definitely. The technology is going to ramp up real fast. So even probably less than 10 years. Because you think about where cell phones were 10 years ago.
Technology compounds. Like it's like interest.
Yeah. If you think about
it goes real fast, real quick.
Like an iPhone came out in 2007.
Probably.
For example.
Yeah.
And now it's 2017.
Yep.
And like how far like phones like suddenly
not even from 2007 to 2017, but like from 97 to 2007. That's the biggest jump. Because you went from your, flip phone Motorola to your iPhone in that 10 years.
Now we're getting into phones. If you consider a smartphone the jump off point, like from when did you get your like Google phone?
Whenever it came out. So probably 07.
They're all kind of around the same. Yeah, the G1. So when you went from a flip phone to a smartphone, that's when it was like,
exactly.
It's
mind blowing. Yeah,
and I don't even
I can play video games while waiting for my food at McDonald's.
Yeah, I remember having life before cell phones. Then I remember having a cell phone, and then I remember having a smartphone. It was like,
and then you remember nothing else because it's always on your smartphone for the past 10 years.
So basically, my point is that, like we said, technology is getting better, faster, and faster all the time. It's just the way it works.
Yeah.
So, Tesla's doing this massive data collection by running these cars.
And I think I think honestly right now it's a little scary.
But
I have personally seen in traffic a Tesla enter into autonomous mode because you can tell. Mm-hmm. Because when it goes from being controlled by a driver to being autonomous, usually there's a little jerk in the car. Yeah. Like you'll see it starts to wander off to a line and it finds the line. And then you can usually kind of tell when it's happening. And it kind of scares me and I avoid the car on purpose.
But it's not just Tesla. GM, Ford, Toyota.
Which I think scares me more than Tesla.
They're all, but they're all researching this. They're all doing it. Yep. And it's coming. It will exist. There will be autonomous cars.
And the guy I think it's from Lyft, the car service, was on The Daily Show a few weeks ago. And they were talking about how they're beta testing things so they can have Lyft cars that just, like, there's no driver. It's just a car. Yeah.
A Jiffy cab?
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of interesting to hear him talk about that, too, because they're putting a ton of money in the researching with Ford, actually, to do that. Yep. So that was interesting.
Ford has been calling themselves a mobility company.
Yeah, which is bizarre.
So,
the question though is, what do you make of autonomous vehicles plowing into people and objects? Like, so right now the question is, what do you think is causing it? What do you think the problem is? And so you say it's beta because they're all being beta tested.
It's data. It just doesn't know.
So, and my point to that question is, who's liable? So if you're driving an autonomous car,
I don't know who's liable.
But if you're driving an autonomous car and somebody changes lanes in front of you and your car doesn't react fast enough, are you responsible for rear-ending them?
I would say yes, because that's the way insurance has always worked.
You have to be in control of your car.
That's how it's always worked. That's the precedent.
That is my story as well. So if you're driving down the road and your car just drives off the road into the Jersey barrier, that's your fault for not catching it.
Yeah. So we shall see. I'm sure there will be landmark cases in this.
I'm sure there will, and I'm willing to bet that in the case where it's a single car crash and a Tesla goes off the road and hits a barrier or something, I'm willing to bet Tesla's going to foot the bill for that customer.
Well, one person has already died.
Oh, I hadn't heard that one yet.
No, this was like, maybe 6 months ago. A guy died using autopilot or whatever.
Jesus.
So, it's...
I don't trust it personally. And I enjoy driving, so an autonomous car is not for me.
I
even enjoy driving in traffic because it's just interesting and challenging. And I'm driving my
I guess.
my 2500 diesel truck with a 20-foot trailer through downtown Manhattan, and I'm like, oh, this is not a big deal. I have it 95 through New York, so the Bronx, I guess. But
all right, well, yeah, it's a
and I
little
even
different.
enjoy that because it's a challenge. I just enjoy driving. I don't
But if I need to get to work in the city, it would be nice to just hop in a little personal pod and it would just take me to work.
or a train.
The trains around here do not work that well. That's the problem.
That's true.
If that's the other thing.
But no, trains do work just fine because you get from point A to point B. It's just the timing is screwy.
Yeah, they don't.
If you're in your own autonomous pod, the timing's not going to be any better. You're still going to be stuck in traffic, so it's going to work just as good as the damn train.
Not if they're all working together and communicating.
But now we're not talking 10 years down the road from now. We're talking a lot longer down the road. And there's going to be one asshole in the middle driving his 1978 Dodge Colt, screwing up the whole thing. That's going to be me. So I don't know. I don't want to live in a world where we don't have a choice.
That's the other argument too. Is if we just made public transit, the systems that already exist, if you made them better, you would need autonomous cars everywhere. I mean, in parts of the country that have the public transit
but those are the parts of the
up.
country that are buying these cars. People in, I don't mean to, I'm not trying to be mean here, but people who live in the middle of the country aren't buying Teslas.
No.
Because they don't, A, have charging stations,
No.
or B, they have a lot further drive from point A to point B, and they can't use an electric
There's a
car.
lot of Teslas in the Boston area.
The big metropolises all have them.
I've seen a few around in the suburbs here. When you'll be in, you're gonna, I don't want to blow up your spot too much, but you're gonna be in LA in a little bit on a vacation.
Yeah, a couple weeks, yeah.
But
They're all over the place
when I
in
was there
LA,
too, they're
yeah.
everywhere. It's like you just turn. There's a Tesla.
I was out there almost a year ago to the date, and it was when the Model X was coming out.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even seen one in person, and I landed in LA, and it was like they were everywhere. They were like ants. I was like, how are these all out here already?
It's interesting. I'd like to drive one. I haven't driven one.
Yeah, I've not driven one either. I haven't even been up too close to one.
I've never driven a fully electric car, so it'd be interesting.
I have driven a fully electric car.
What car did you drive?
A Leaf.
Oh, okay.
Nissan Leaf. I didn't drive it far. I just drove it, around the parking lot at the shop where we fixed it.
I mean, we sort of gone away from autonomous, but the Volt sort of intrigues me. That seems like a neat car.
Yeah, but it's just
I like the idea of it.
sedan. It's not like, I don't know, it's not an exciting car.
I know it's not an exciting car, but sometimes you just need a car to commute to work.
No, you don't. Buy something exciting.
I guess, but it's not exciting when you sit in traffic doing 5 miles an hour.
No, but getting to that point of traffic needs to be at least somewhat entertaining. Yeah. That's why I'm not a huge fan of driving my big truck around, because it's not entertaining.
No.
I have to make it entertaining.
I'd rather just work from home, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, so would everybody.
That's besides the point.
I'd rather not ever get out of bed.
That's the other way to fix this traffic issue is if more people just work from home and telecommute, because a lot of times there's no reason for people to be in the office 90% of the time. Just come in every couple of days for meetings. So
my basic thoughts on autonomous cars are I don't like them, but I'm an old curmudgeon. I'm grumpy. I don't like new things. I like carburetors.
You're getting them.
I like carburetors. I like fuel and gas. But I also like saving the earth, so I understand electricity and electric cars, and I also understand other people don't like to drive. And maybe those people should have autonomous cars, and I can just use them as pylons in my daily autocross to work. So, next question is from Tim Reed.
Okay.
Very related to the earlier question about the Galant. He says, can we burn that VR4 to the ground?
I wouldn't burn it to the ground. Like, we can save it.
Right, we think it's easy enough to fix it. It's not worth. Yeah. It's not worth parting it out.
We'll keep an eye on Craigslist. If it pops up, we'll see.
We'll figure out a way to own it.
Yeah,
because it was a pretty clean car.
It was a clean car.
All right, last question of the night.
Yep. Perfect timing.
Speaking of L.A.
Yep.
Mr. Joe Stanley.
Oh.
What is the price you guys would put on an experience? Recently, I drove by the Porsche Experience Center in L.A., a huge track that you can take your choice of Porsche. Excuse me, I'm screwing this all up. Let me restart this question. What price would you guys put on an experience? Recently, I drove by the Porsche Experience Center in LA, a huge track that you can take your choice of Porsche out on to the tune of $500 to $1,200, depending on the car, for an hour and a half. He goes, "This seems expensive, but I know I'll never own a Porsche, so this is almost tempting to me."
Well, Joe, you live in LA. There's tons of cars on Turo.
But
some of
it's
them,
not a racetrack.
some of them Porsche. You don't have to go to a racetrack. You can.
What?
There's all those canyon roads in L.A.
Right. I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I think that even on a turbo car, if it's $130 for the day, you're still responsible for fuel, and there's extra insurance you can buy. I'm assuming that this $500 to $1,200 probably includes fuel and insurance.
I guess.
So I'm betting if you wreck the Porsche on the track, you don't owe them a new Porsche.
I don't know.
I don't know the specifics, so I'm talking completely out my butt here. I don't know. But I think
maybe they give you some instruction. That might be good.
Yeah, I think that if you even the smallest Porsche available right now is a Boxster, right? That's the slowest Porsche available.
Probably.
Yeah, and it's not a bad car.
No.
So if the cheapest car available is the Boxster and it's $500 for an hour and a half of track time, like an hour and a half of track time is a long time.
It is a long time. You'll probably be like, all right, are we done?
Yeah, an hour and a half is a long time. It doesn't sound like a long time, but it's a long time. You do a track day, you're not going to get an hour.
Track days are like broken up into like 20-minute sessions.
Yeah, exactly.
By the end of 20 minutes, you're like, all right, I'm ready for a break.
Yeah, exactly. So an hour and a half is a long time, and if you can get, I would spend $500 to spend an hour and a half lapping a Boxster, if that's what it is. That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of money, but it's not something you're going to do every weekend. You know, you just forego going to the movies for a few weeks and you save $500 and do it up.
So close to getting a car off Turo last time I was there, but we just weren't in LA long enough to justify it.
Yeah, we won't be there long enough either.
Yeah.
We're just going to have a...
Because I was going to rent a Porsche. I was like, no, fuck it, might as well, like...
Yeah,
I'd never driven one before.
Live it up, exactly.
It's California, like, you rent a Porsche, I guess.
Yep. Well, the canyon roads are fun, even when I did them last time in my rental Galant, which was a terrible car.
Ugh.
That's one of the rare cases that will shit talk a Mitsubishi. It was a 6th gen Galant. Or sorry, eighth or 9th gen Galant? 8th gen Galant. They're awful cars.
I had a Hyundai. Oh, man. It was...
Elantra.
Yeah, the little one.
Oh, the littlest one or like the normalish one? The Accent is a tiny, tiny car. The Accent's the little one.
It was small. It was Korean, and it was a small four-door.
Yeah.
It has CVT. But
they're not terrible. I mean, they're okay. We had a rental Forte for a while. It wasn't
worked.
A terrible car. Yeah. Well, we had a top of the line Forte, and Deb actually liked it because it had like the Bluetooth and the moonroof, and it was just for $16,000. It was a pretty good car. Not an enthusiast car by any means, but
I mean, I think it had a CVT. It couldn't quite.
It couldn't shift right.
Yeah, and I would the Triptronic. I would keep it in like second or third or whatever it thought those were.
Yep.
To try to like give it a little more pep because definitely smoked it going up some mountains. But,
well, we've talked on this show before about our experience with the Nissan CVT, so we'll leave that CVT discussion for another day. So that is the last listener question. Thank you, everybody, for submitting listener questions.
Thank you for listening. We appreciate.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yep. It's awesome that we have so many listeners. And that you guys...
way more than we ever expected to get. So keep listening, keep reviewing, sharing. Review us on iTunes,
please.
Yeah.
You can probably review us on Google Music, too, I'm sure.
More than likely. Or anywhere, even on our Facebook page, whatever.
You can find us on iTunes, Google Music, and any podcast apps that pull from there.
Yep, which actually, I've been using that Podcast Addict, and I've been recommending it to everybody.
Yeah.
But lately, I need to find a new one. It's dropped a few episodes, so I'm going to try using Google Music, I think.
There's only a couple other podcasts you listen to that aren't on there, I think.
I don't even know. But if it's not on there, it's probably not on Podcast Addict anyway. So,
yeah.
Unless it's on iTunes and not Google Music, I don't know. But we're there. That's all that matters.
Yep.
That's all we're talking about right now.
And you can find us on Facebook at Off Topic Podcast.
Yep.
You can find Brad's company, Vintage Imports of New England, on
Vintage Imports of New England?
On Facebook too?
Yep.
Like that?
On Instagram, it's Vintage Imports of NE.
Yep. And you can email you. Is it Brad at
the Vintage Imports of New England.com?
Because if you need a car transported, you should have it transported in an enclosed car trailer.
You should, if I do say so myself.
Yes. And you can follow the podcast on Instagram. It's Auto Off Topic. You can follow me on Instagram, Raced in Anger.
And if you care to, my personal Instagram is TSISS350.
Yep. I think that does it.
It does it. That was a good episode, sir.
All
It's
right.
a little late tonight, so sorry for the yawns you heard in there.
Yeah.
We got started a little late tonight.
Yeah. Well, surprisingly, we did pretty
And we're
well
not
with
drinking
this.
coffee.
No, we had a 8% coffee stout.
Yes, a little different.
But it was I think it was a 16-ounce bottle. So
Something like that,
So
yeah.
we split it. But anyway, keep your cars analog.